Hello everyone, and welcome to Tony's Comic Spotlight. In this weekly episodic series, I spotlight some of the best comics put to print.
In this week's episode, we take a look at the first appearance and origin of Bane, the man who broke the Batman, by shining the spotlight on Batman Vengeance of Bane #1 from 1992.
If you are enjoying the content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos. Feel free to leave a comment as well. I hope you enjoy the videos. And now, on to our featured story. Vengeance of Bane. Many years ago on the island of Santa Prisca, a group of revolutionaries conducted a failed coup against their reigning government. Those that survived the three-day massacre were arrested, interrogated, and detained at the prison known as Pena Duro. One of the prisoners was a slender woman, heavy with child. Her husband was one of the many apparently killed during the bloody campaign, and in accordance to a centuries-old law, the punishment of the father must be carried out by the son, should the father fail to survive in order to serve his sentence. The woman gave birth to her child, and he was born to life and a life sentence. He was raised a prisoner in the deepest pits of Pena Duro. Growing up, the boy learned every hidden corner of Pena Duro, every secret. He learned of life and death at far too tender an age to learn such things. When the boy was 6 years old, the boy's mother had given up on life and was tended to by a young physician by the name of Zombie. She died from exhaustion and despair, and the boy was forced to bear witness as the prison guards callously threw her corpse into shark-infested waters off the cliffs of Punta de Tiburon, and the boy was thrown to the wolves. The warden told the boy that the state was no one's mother, and he would be released to the general population. With only his teddy bear, Osito, to keep him company, he was set down amongst the beasts of Pena Duro. It wasn't long before the boy became prey to the savage inmates. One particular overweight man, by the name of Purico, tried to taunt the young boy, telling him they would be good friends and that he would see him the next day. When the man approached the boy to persuade him to work for him, another man, Trog, stepped in to defend the boy. However, as the fight broke out between the two, the boy was knocked off the railing and he fell a few stories to the ground below. While in a coma, the boy had a dream. He followed Osito to a bright light. There he saw himself, or rather an older version of himself, in the light. The older version told him that this was who he would become, physical and mental paragon, the living embodiment of human superiority. His older version said only one danger stands in his way of mastering the world: fear. The fear that lies at the heart. If the boy conquers the fear in his heart, he would have anything he desired and be second to no man and master of all. The boy turned to the shadows and saw a giant bat flying towards him. The boy screamed and woke from his coma 31 days later. The boy returned to the real world, but he was no longer the child he was. He tracked down Purico and killed him. When the warden and the guards found the boy beside Purico's corpse, the warden said the boy went feral. The warden said he was a bane to everything holy, and thus the child was named. The warden said to throw him into Cavidad Obscuro, and the chains would fit snug on him before he was released. Bane told the warden that he spoke to his mother the other night, and that they stoked a special fire for him in hell. The shaken warden announced that Bane would have hair on his chest before he was ever released from the hole, and many heard the shaken warden. For 10 years, Bane suffered the hell of the Cavidad Obscuro, finding food from the crabs and the rats. He learned to survive day to day in that hole, and he grew stronger from it. When Bane refused to die in the hole, the embarrassed warden released him in hopes someone would avenge Purico's murder. No one did. Bane had become a legend. As Bane grew older, he earned the attention of several inmates, including an aging physician named Zombie, a brutish man named Trog, who had helped him earlier when he was a boy, and the American known as Bird. Bird taught Bane how to read, and Bane worked in the library reading thousands of books, some in different languages. When he read everything in the library, he had books smuggled inside, whereas other people normally would have drugs. He read hundreds of books on every subject matter. As he improved his mind, he also improved his body. 1,000 push-ups a day, 1,000 sit-ups, 1,000 pull-ups. Instead of sleep, he meditated 4 hours every night. His friends recognized his strength and pledged to follow him loyally. Bane eventually became the most feared man in all of Pino Duro. The prison's warden grew nervous as he came to realize that the prisoners under his charge had more to fear from Bane than from him, but no one could take Bane down. His reputation was the stuff of legend. Bird tells Bane about his hometown of Gotham City. Bane becomes enraptured when he hears the legend of Gotham's nocturnal predator, the Batman. He decides that in order to prove that he is superior to all men, he would meet this Batman and destroy him. Bane's frustration at the way things were soon turned to rage, and he began killing the inmates. When Bane's body count reached 30, the warden had him taken to isolation, but a few days later, a scientific research team established themselves at Pino Duro and used the prison for a source of resources with which to conduct their experiments. They developed a steroid compound codenamed Venom and tested the drug on many prisoners. However, none of the men had been put through the venom process were strong enough to survive the procedure. The warden selected Bane as the science team's next volunteer. Bane's physical hardness and unbreakable resolve enabled him to survive the process. The venom drug increased his overall muscle mass, endurance, and strength enormously, and he became nearly unstoppable. At this point, Bane decided to leave Pino Duro forever. He faked his own death, knowing that the prison guards would cast his body off of Punto de Tiburon, just as they had done with his mother years before. When his body hit the water, Bane revived himself and took command of an army helicopter. Gathering together his friends, Zombie, Bird, and Trog, he killed the warden and left the island of Santa Prisca. In Gotham City, Zombie had successfully copied the Venom formula for Bane. Bird had secured them false identities, and Trog and Zombie worked on an apparatus that would give Bane a way to supply himself with venom at will. Feeling complete, first Bane helps Bird get revenge on his old adversary, a gangster named Jimmy No-Nos, by killing him and every member of his gang. Batman arrives at the crime scene with the cops already there and doesn't realize that he is being watched by Bane and his crew. Thinking the Manklin crime family may be responsible, Batman disappears in the night, but Bane follows him. At the Manklin compound, Batman descends and ambushes the boss and his two sons as they are lifting weights. Angus calls for reinforcements, but they all fall short when Bane intercepts them. Bane watches Batman save one of the gangsters from falling to his death. Bane kills Angus to stop him from killing the Batman. Bane meets Batman for the first time and questions Batman's refusal to kill. He tells Batman that one day soon he would know his name and he would beg for mercy. Batman tells him to get in line. Bane leaves as the police show up, but Batman leaves as well. As Bane and his friends watch Batman leave, Bane decides to watch Batman, study him, and once he knows Batman and why he does not kill, then he will know Batman City, and then Gotham City will be his. The end. For now. This issue is the first appearance of Bane. Shortly following from this special, Bane becomes a provincial member of Batman's Rogues Gallery. Bane appears next in Batman issue number 489. The members of the Manklin brothers are drawn to resemble Moe, Larry, and Curly of the Three Stooges. Bane was born and raised in prison. From the second he entered this world, Bane, sometimes known as Eduardo Dorrance, was destined to have a harsh life. Dorrance was born in Pino Duro, a notoriously harsh prison. His father abandoned him and his mother passed away shortly after his birth. It's fair to say that Dorrance was thrown to the wolves and he was raised amongst hardened criminals. In a sink-or-swim situation, Bane made the most of his circumstances. He became the top dog at the prison, which led to a stunning run of global dominance. Bane was a self-made monster. With a deadbeat dad and no mom, Bane had no one to care for and mold him into his future self from the start. Dorrance had determined who he wanted to be in Pino Duro. He sought to become incredibly intelligent, so he read countless books. He wanted to be strong, so he tirelessly honed his body at the prison's gym. He mastered meditation and even invented his own form of it. Plenty of characters are victims of circumstance. They would have crumbled under the insurmountable odds that Bane faced from the moment of his birth. Bane rose above his environment and forced himself into peak spiritual and physical health. Bane, a super soldier gone wrong. Bane's origin story is a look at a super soldier program that went horribly wrong. After Bane rose to power within the prison, the guards decided to knock him down a notch. The jailers forced Dorrance to participate in what had been an successful experiment to create a super soldier. When other prisoners were exposed to Venom, none of them survived the experience. The guards still made a test subject out of Bane. Bane's initial exposure to the drug nearly ended him too. However, he lived to see its staggering effects. Rather than serving his captors or the government, Bane made his way to Gotham, and the rest is history. Bane targeted Batman before they met. Bane had his sights set on Batman long before they met. During the villain's time in Pino Duro, a horrific bat haunted his dreams, and subsequently, Bane developed a phobia of bats. Fellow inmates spread stories of a monster in Gotham. It was only a matter of time before Bane clashed with the Batman. Gotham itself fascinated Bane too. Like the prison he had called home for his entire life, Gotham was fueled by fear. However, Gotham's fear hinged entirely on one man, the Caped Crusader. Bane sought to end the Caped Crusader's dominance so he could set the city free. Bane is the master of the jailbreak. One of Bane's underrated traits is his talent as a prison escape artist. First, he, along with his future henchmen Trog, Zombie, and Bird, broke out of the infamously inescapable Pino Duro. After Valley defeats Bane and sends him to prison, Bane breaks out of Blackgate Prison too. At the end of his time with the Secret Six, Bane is arrested again, but once more he manages to escape. Even when Bane is not in captivity, he helps liberate others. During Forever Evil, Bane frees Blackgate's prisoners. Anytime Bane is captured, he continues to demonstrate that no prison can hold him or his allies for long. Bane has a world-class intellect. Bane is incredibly strong, and his physical appearance demonstrates that, but Bane is much more than a typical musclehead. He's also famous for his extraordinary intelligence. As a child, Bane devoured knowledge through reading tirelessly during his time in prison. He also learned how to speak several languages, including English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Latin. Bane may not have had a high school diploma, but he has found other ways to build a phenomenal intellect. The Nightfall storyline itself demonstrates Bane's intelligence. The villain only needs a year to uncover Batman's secret identity, and then crafts a genius plan to unleash Arkham's inmates in order to tire Batman to the point of total exhaustion. Bane's mind is as powerful a muscle as his massive arms. Bane runs on Venom. Bane's addiction to Venom is more significant than any of his other characteristics. For better or worse, Venom and Bane are firmly linked together like Eddie Brock and his symbiote. Venom is a highly addictive super steroid that greatly enhances the user's strength and size. Bane either needs tubes connected to his body or a mask to pump the drug through his veins. While the substance often makes Bane practically unstoppable, Venom is also Bane's biggest weakness. Venom gives Bane a huge Achilles heel when the tubes, mask are damaged, severing Bane's venom supply. He immediately experiences excruciating withdrawal. That intense pain makes Bane easily fallible. Bane is a second-generation supervillain. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree when it comes to Bane. His father is Sir Edmund Dorrance, or King Snake, a villain that has battled Batman and Robin through the years. Dorrance is worse than the typical deadbeat dad. After being with Bane's mother, Dorrance fled Santa Prisca to avoid imprisonment. As a result, Bane and his mother served time in Pino Duro, a notoriously harsh prison. Bane eventually looked for his father, which led him on a long winding chase. For a time, Bane thought that Thomas Wayne was his biological father. Eventually, though, Bane learns the truth, and after a complicated family reunion, Bane helps Batman and Robin stop King Snake from using a dangerous weapon. Bane can overcome his reliance on Venom. Bane's addiction to Venom has a long and complicated history. At times, he depends on it because he needs it to live. There have been times Bane has overcome that dependency. This resiliency can be seen as another mark of Bane's emotional strength. The villain recovers from his addiction while serving time at Blackgate. He swears off the drug but eventually relapses. Recently in DC Rebirth, Bane uses the Psycho Pirate to help him overcome his latest round of addiction. Batman defeats Bane in Santa Prisca, which makes the villain scream wantingly for Venom. Although he has proven capable of overcoming his addiction, Venom remains a thorn in Bane's side. Bane broke the Bat. Most importantly, Bane is the man that broke Batman. After freeing all of the inmates in Arkham, Bane had utterly exhausted Batman, who spent 3 months recapturing the criminals. Then, in a historic moment, Bane broke Batman's back, forcing the hero into temporary retirement. On that day, Bane cemented himself as a legitimate threat to the greater DC universe. The Dark Knight's defeat at Bane's hands is one of the Caped Crusaders' biggest failures in his long history. Very few villains have the ability to say they defeated Batman one-on-one. Bane is one of the few exceptions, and he remains one of Batman's most dangerous rivals. Venom appeared in the comics 2 years before Bane. Bane is probably mostly well known to fans for his massive hulking physique and intimidating luchador-style mask. He is one of the few villains in Batman's rogues gallery who can match the Dark Knight in hand-to-hand combat. In fact, he's even stronger than Batman. In most of his earlier appearances, this strength comes from Venom, the drug that is pumped through a system of tubes directly into his brain. Initially, Bane had to take Venom every 12 hours or he would suffer debilitating side effects, and when he was on the drug, he was almost unstoppable. But what you might not have known is that Venom actually first appeared in the comic books almost 2 years before Bane. In Legends of the Dark Knight issues 16 through 20, and a story appropriately titled Venom, writer Dennis O'Neil revealed that the drug was created by a psychotic doctor named Randolph Porter. He wanted to prove himself superior to other scientists working on a similar, if less extreme, strength-enhancing chemical. Batman then became addicted to the drug while trying to find a method of coping with his physical limitations. He ends up locking himself away in the Batcave for a month in order to detox.
I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch this spotlight as we celebrated the first appearance and origin of Bane in Vengeance of Bane issue number 1. Coming up next week, we're going to take a look at the first appearances of the Jackal and the Punisher by shining the spotlight on Amazing Spider-Man issue number 129. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch this or any other video. And if you're not a member, please consider subscribing, hit that like bell, and don't forget to ring the bell for future notifications. And I want to thank everyone once again for supporting the channel. And as always, everyone be safe, take care, and God bless. See ya.